Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Friends Talking Shit about FPL. I'm in a new room, I'm in a new space, I've got my good old Champions jumper on, and I'm here with Andy. Andy, how's your
What's
week
up,
been?
man?
How are you going?
Whoa. It was a low scoring week, but I got above average. So the rank drop was not very much. I'm still in the same hundreds of thousands of rank, so it wasn't a big drop in rank. Some people actually know what their break even points needed to be for them not to drop in rank. I don't actually know how to find that out, but all I know is it was not a big drop in rank. So look, was it a poor week? Yes. Could it have been better? Yes. But as long as I'm always above average points, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. I managed to stay above the average, and I gained a little bit of on people around me this week. Um, so I mean that's good. I'm happy that I made that progress. It's a bit annoying because I feel like it was an opportunity to do just jump that little bit further. But if everyone has the same kind of team, the same ideals, well, no one's going to move anywhere, are they? So, uh, yeah, happy, I suppose, for now, for this week. But I can feel it. I can feel some risks in the air. I can feel it starting to happen.
I'm very tempted to go no Haaland.
Oh, oh, that's
Maybe after this game week, I won't have Haaland. I think I will have Haaland for Southampton at home. You just can't not. But he's blanked 3 times in a row.
Yeah, right. Well, let's get on to the games. Let's sum up the games, then we can get into the week's games, and we can look at the teams, and we can go from there. So, do you want to do our teams first, or do you want to do where do you want to start? Where do you want to kick off? Results or our individual
Let's go.
results?
Let's go results first because it's always good to get the news and then how that reflects with our teams.
Sweet. All right. Now, games. Here we go. All right. So, I'll kick off with the champions away to Wolves. There. Um,
Mate, good call on Vardiol that you have gotten a few correct awesome calls in a row. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean it needed to be with the way that the rest of the week fell. That was just needed to be good, needed to be right. So you know, I would have liked it to come out as a 1-1 with no Stones, like 94th minute goal, but you can't have it all. So yeah, I'm happy with the Guardiola one. Your City are struggling to put things together a little bit without their midfield duo, and with Pep coming out midweek before the Champions League game saying there's no Doku at the moment, there's no Grealish, so we know they're down De Bruyne, they're down Rodri. Is this
Walker
what is
as well.
this team gonna what is this City team gonna look like when it comes out against Southampton? I don't know. It's interesting.
They are at home though.
Yeah, I'm not expecting Southampton to do anything. I'm still expecting City to go in, but I think this would be for people who haven't played the triple captain. This would be a triple captain Haaland possible fixture. I think the injuries and the Haaland blanks take that away, which I think is
Hmm.
interesting. I think we're going to have it's one game week gone for playing that triple captain. So yeah, it was. I had it in mind. No, it's gone.
Yeah,
But
fair, fair.
and Wolves as well didn't play badly. They played quite well. I think we started to look at Wolves maybe after this game week. This is the end of their terrible opening fixtures to the season. And they put up a good fight. They were unlucky to lose, to be honest.
Mate, their opening fixtures was like the first half of the table. Like the first 8 game weeks, they've just been against the first half of the table, but then the game week all the way up till game week 17, they can score. If they can score, if they can attack, they can score.
Yeah. Moving on to the other big one for the weekend, Liverpool versus Chelsea. I think this on the as a biased Liverpool fan on the ground, looking at the whole game, I think it was a fair result. I think we said maybe 2-1 when we were chatting about them last week, that would be a good Liverpool team against a good Chelsea team, and I think Chelsea put up a fight, and they went to Anfield to win that game. Probably you might say they were unlucky not to. There's a few calls went either way, but they. I know we had an Arsenal red card with Saliba, and I think they were very lucky not to have a similar red card in this game. It was a similar position on the pitch, exact same action, only a yellow card in this one. But Chelsea could have been down to 10 very early in that one. But 2-1 I think is fair. I think Jones maybe is the player we didn't expect the points to come from. But with Harvey Elliott out for a little bit and there's a bit of rotation in there, maybe we should be looking. A goal, an assist, 3 bonus. Great game.
And I did hear, I mean, Mo Salah returned even after last week. We were like, oh, he's just not the same. He returned, but I heard his assist was a bit, how would they say it, jammy?
Yeah, his assist was jammy and his goal was a penalty. So he still gets returns and they still come out. He wasn't as involved as Jones was. Obviously, he's on the wing and not in the middle. But yeah, I'm mindful that we're not getting waylaid by these Salah points that are coming in, because they're coming in from strange places and it's not typical of the week that's gone. But yeah, it's still scoring, still getting points, and that's what a good FPL asset does.
That's right. It does not matter from where the points flow.
Another good maybe FPL asset, Nicholas Jackson scoring again. Great goal. Beat the offside trap, slipped through, was flagged off. VAR allowed the goal. He's still putting the goals in. He's still collecting goals. He's still collecting points.
He's definitely in consideration. If I saw Haaland, it would be Haaland to Nick Jackson, I reckon.
Yeah, I think I would do the same, but I don't think I'm going to get rid of Haaland yet. I haven't had any points from the man.
Oh, mate, you bought him after he went up and he has not returned after everyone jumped on Haaland.
Oh, well.
Yeah, mate.
So move on to the Fulham Villa game. Villa coming out 3-1 winners. Raul Jimenez on the score sheet again. I think it's 5 back-to-back games now that he's got an assist of some sort in. Rodgers returning again, and Ollie Watkins on the score sheet. It's the usual lot there.
Honestly, I didn't think the result would be 3-1, to be honest. Fulham have been pretty strong defensively, reasonably strong defensively, and they were playing at home.
Yeah.
And before this, Watkins didn't look great coming off of the back of the international break, but not complaining. I've got both Rodgers and Watkins.
And interesting that Watkins was dropped in their Champions League. Well, dropped. He didn't start their Champions League game midweek. The Villa still managed to win that one with Duran scoring. Duran started, scored, came off immediately after scoring. But he's started his game now. So what does that mean for Watkins? I don't think it means much, to be honest, at the moment. I think we'll keep going as we're going. But interesting that he's making a name for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this next one. This is the first time Burmo hasn't scored for a while.
Was it Brentford don't score in the first 2 minutes and they don't win the game?
How did you watch the highlights for this? What are your thoughts? I mean, Bruno Fernandes finally got back on the score sheet.
Yeah, and his assist for Haaland was beautiful. It was Bruno Fernandes as we know him as a great asset. It was perfectly picked pass. He's still just a bit petulant. He's still just a little bit. I don't want to see United go forward and do better. I'd like to see them go back down. But if we're going to look at their assets as their options as assets, we probably need to see this happen again next week to know that they're secure. They let a goal in again, but now Haaland's back in there, Garnacho starting. They might have a bit of something up front, but I think there's better options still, more reliable options. And I'm not going with the defense yet.
Apparently, though, they are pretty good for expected goals conceded.
Yeah, they just seem to like winning each week. I mean,
That's also true.
Onana's got a few clean sheets, so I think Onana would be the way I'd go if I go with anyone from United. I still don't know who will play week to week, and they seem to have an injury problem at United. Like every couple of weeks, someone else big is out, so it's hard to know that you're going to be putting someone in there who's going to play every week. Onana would solve that issue, but I think there's other goalkeeping assets that are a bit better value.
Yeah, fair. I mean, we'll touch on this at some point, but yeah, definitely looking at Raya at 5.5 and being like, you are not paying your keep, sir.
I think for Brentford, we just take it as an oops game and see what they do now going forward. Wissa played 25 minutes in that one. He's back.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how him and Mbumo connect up again and whether they start bringing the points back in like they did for the first 3 or 4 game weeks.
That could be a good one. Wissa and Mbumo again.
This one is anyway, a good one. I like
oh, mate, terrible. This was disappointing. This was so disappointing. I just no words. Saliba. We can't keep playing with 10 men. I mean, Arsenal have played what 8 games, and 3 of them have been with 10 men. I guess it's been lucky that 2 of them we did not lose, but it was bound to happen sooner or later. If we went down to 10 men, that we would lose a game. We couldn't keep getting away with it.
No, this was true. The first couple of red cards were, you could say they were being told the standard. They with the cheap kicking the balls away and the cheap ones. This one so early in the game, I don't think Saliba has to bring him down there. You've got a good goalkeeper behind you. I think you let him go, and if they go 1-0 up, they go 1-0 up. You still have 11 players on, and you would expect to score. So I don't know what's going on if that's the game plan, but I'd have let him go and try to catch up. Wait till Gabriel's back in that defensive position before making a challenge, or just gamble on Raya making the save.
And we also had no Saka this game as well. And attack-wise, apparently what's his name?
Sterling.
I'm having mental. No. Having mental blank. Trossard, was it? Took a shot. Just straight at the keeper. Or it went over the bar. Just didn't take the chances.
Yeah.
And when you're down to 10 men, you have to be clinical and take those chances because you're not going to get many of them because you're one man down. Yeah.
And this was a tricky one because you probably expect that maybe Arsenal would get something out of this without Saka. And I know that Arteta was saying that he might not have been ready for the game, and I can see the reason for not playing him. You don't play him and risk an injury that he's then going to miss the Champions League game midweek. You miss the Liverpool game. You miss the trip to Milan that's coming up as well. So I can see that the better gamble was to leave him out of the Bournemouth game, out of midweek action, and I can see him playing at the weekend. It depends on how bad that injury is, but it's very Arteta to just be like, oh, he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it. He's on the team sheet. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not playing. But I think the aim for him not to be playing this game would be for him to be playing against Liverpool.
Yeah, I can see him playing potentially as well. And Arteta, it's almost like you expect the opposite of what he says. So before game week 8, he was like, yeah, he sounded more positive and he didn't play. And now he's not sounding as positive. So Saka will play.
Yeah, with the other injuries and the other suspensions, I would expect him to play. Even just that, it probably needs to be gambled on now. Like if he's not fully fit, you probably need to gamble on him playing. I know you've got Sterling and a couple of others in there who can do something, but I think you need your talisman playing against Liverpool, especially when Liverpool's talismans will be playing. They don't really have anyone who's specifically out. They still have some bench depth to move around with. Um, yeah, it's hard to predict, and it's hard to predict who the back four is going to be this week for Arsenal with Saliba being out and Calafiore getting injured midweek in the Champions League.
I think Ben White will be there as well because White and Gabriel, I think, have played together before.
Yeah, see, White, Gabriel, I'm assuming Timber might be in the middle. So, yeah.
I can see Nwaneri making a start as well.
Yeah.
In Saka's absence, Odegaard's absence.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Until you get some players back, I think I wouldn't be investing in Arsenal. I won't be selling them necessarily, but I wouldn't probably be investing too heavily for now. I think if you've got a Gabriel and a Trent, I think Gabriel's still a hold over a Trent with the fixtures going forward and with the output that you're getting from the difference. But yeah, I think maybe Saka you could sell this week if you wanted to sell because they got tough games coming up as well. There's Newcastle and City I think coming up, and so it's not easy. So I would wait on that.
Yeah, no, very fair, mate. Spurs versus West Ham, and Johnson and Solanke don't even make it on the score table. What happened?
I don't know. You can go on further and say that anyone didn't return. Like the top four Spurs assets being Solanke, Johnson, Pedro Porro, and Van de Ven, and none of them returned. But oh well. Kudos with quite a good goal, and then went absolutely berserk and got himself sent off. Sure. And other than that, like. Son is probably the only one out of there that you kind of maybe look at a bit now. Well, not now that you would look at. I don't think Kulusevski is settled enough in the team, and I think he's a lot of passing to the passer kind of a player, as is Maddison. Sarr is more of a defensive mid who can play the ball through when they break. So at least they're scoring goals.
I have heard from some Spurs fans, they see Solanke almost like the Firmino from back in the day, where while Solanke was at Bournemouth, he was the guy who scored all the goals. But at Spurs, he's almost playing a different role. He's not the guy that scores all the goals, but he enables all of everyone around him to score more goals. Now, I don't think I watch enough football to know, but what are your thoughts?
I probably need to sit down and watch the full game and see actually where his heat map is and where he's sitting. But I think if that's what's going to happen, I don't see Solanke being as good an asset as we initially thought. I think maybe we'll look elsewhere. But I think you still need to give it a couple more weeks. Like he was in the team for a couple of weeks, then he was out for a few weeks, then he's been back in for a couple of weeks. This team is still gelling together, and if we go through Spurs' good fixtures that are coming up and Solanke's still not getting anything, I think you can probably just sit on a Johnson or turn him into a Son and move Solanke to someone cheaper. And because if you're getting a goal every 3 games, you may as well have a Leicester asset or a Wolves asset who's doing the same thing for you at a cheaper price point.
Yeah, no, I agreed. And a Johnson to Son is definitely something worth looking at.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Southampton versus Leicester. I mean, there's not much. It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, it's another one of those. We don't have players from these two teams. Probably not going to have them. It's another game where Southampton conceded multiple goals. But this time they managed to score a couple. So they are trending like they're scoring a few more goals, but they're not consistent enough anywhere near. And you can see on that screen that under Southampton, the total top 10K ownership of Southampton players is 16%. And I dare say that's a Tyler dribbling or whatever his name is sitting there on the bench for most people.
Yeah, I know Dibbles has been popular amongst the content creators of FPL, but I just stayed away. I don't know. I think I'll just stay away. But I can see Winks on there, who's also a 4.5 mil midfielder, did get on the score sheet.
Yeah, yeah. But was it first time in 8 game weeks? So
Yeah, also true. All right, next one. Ipswich versus Everton. Mate, Everton starting to keep the clean sheets, but it is against Ipswich, so nothing too exciting. Keen on the score sheet again, and also McNeil. Good bait, McNeil coming through with the goods.
yeah, so this I think could be a bit of a red herring. This one, um, Ipswich at home. It's not easy. They have got the support this year, being the first year back in the Premier League. We've seen them do well against teams like Liverpool. So I don't think we can always go, oh, it's just Ipswich, because they do have some good players as well. The the herring, I think, is Michael Keane. He's been playing in that defensive line, but will he continue to play in that line once Branthwaite and Mikolenko is back? Don't see it happening. We need to see how long Branthwaite is going to be out, and when he's coming back. Keane's cheap. He's scored a couple of goals. He's got a couple of assists, but I do see it being a short-term thing. I think jumping on him for a couple of price rises until we know for sure, and then as soon as he's out of the team, ship him. I think is probably the best thing to do. I think if you're going an Everton asset, you're going a Pickford or a McNeil, personally, or a Mikolenko.
Yeah. Or Mikolenko, I was going to say. Yeah, agreed. I keep looking for a reason to get rid of McNeil, and he just keeps returning. So I can make an upgrade to my midfield. I like Rodgers and I like McNeil. I don't want to drop in Burmo. Johnson. Legitimately, I'm tossing up between dropping McNeil and Johnson because of how consistent McNeil has been.
Purple patch. If they're in a purple patch, keep them, because once the purple patch is done, they'll get dropped like a heavyweight, and you want to get off them quick. So stay on them while they're raising.
Yeah, for sure.
Raising your points, raising your money, and then move on
Mm-hmm.
after that. So the final two games for the week. The only game that I watched live, Forest versus Palace, and it had me pulling my hair out. This one, it was
Why is
0-0
that?
for a long time, and then Chris Wood pops up with a goal, and then nothing else happens, and it's just infuriating. But Wood scoring again, being involved again, did get taken off at about 75 minutes, which was a bit frustrating. It kind of nukes him from that point on. But Forest, another clean sheet, another good performance, some great saves from Lascelles in net, and Palace again looking very limp.
I'm just happy about Ola Aina's clean sheet. That was a nail biter because this was deciding which one of us wins this week in the head-to-head.
Yeah.
And you know what? To ship Eze was the right call. He has done nothing this whole time. And I guess that goes to show players might have good stats, but if they aren't returning, who cares about the stats? Like, they're not returning. And I see so many managers go through this issue of this whole thing of holding players because the stats are there, and you keep holding them and holding them and holding them and holding them until when? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like the purple patch thing. If someone's having a purple patch and the stats are terrible, keep holding the purple patch player.
Yeah, and I can also see if this continues for too much longer, I would be surprised if Eze is still a Palace player by the end of the year. Like he does not gonna. He had a lot of interest over the summer when they had a good team. I don't think he wants to do. I'm going to say a Vardy and let that interest wane and dissipate, and then get stuck in this Palace team who's not performing, and you look less. He's got ambitions to play for England. If he's going to do that, he needs to be consistently looking good and returning in a good team. If that's not going to happen in this Palace team, I can see him moving fairly rapidly.
Eze to Arsenal.
I'd say Eze to Man United.
Oh, wow. Okay. Where would he play for Man United?
I think he would probably sit alongside Bruno or being the long-term Bruno replacement.
Wow. All right. You heard it here first, people.
Or you
Starting
can
the
cut
rumor
off a
mill.
laugh later on. Either way, either way.
Starting the rumor mill. Eze to Man United over the summer.
Um,
And this surprised me, to be honest. I thought it would be a more open game. Newcastle versus Brighton.
yeah, I mean, they're two teams that really haven't got going. Brighton have had some good results. Newcastle have had some good results, but this was a hard one to pick about who was going to win. Um, and then when you don't know what's gonna happen, Danny Welbeck pops up, scores a goal, gets 3 bonus, and then gets a back injury. So, like, he's just he's done a lot. He's filled the bingo card in the one game. Um, so I still don't know. Brighton have got awful fixtures coming up. I think the next four aren't great. They've got a Wolves fixture in there, but the rest of them are not great. Newcastle just still don't seem to get the wheels turning. I don't know where Anthony Gordon has gone. Barnes has just disappeared all of a sudden. I don't think Isak's back yet. It's just waiting for them to kick it back into gear.
All right, that's the week in wrap. Let's look at our teams. Do you want me to go first?
Hit me.
All right. So we finished this week with a grand total of 39 points. Average is 36. I beat it by 3 points. I'm happy. In goal, Raya with 1 point, Gabrielle with 1 point, Justin with 1 point, Aina with 6. Lucky for the clean sheet. Rogers with 6 and Burma with 2, Johnson with 2, McNeil with 6 because he came on for Saka, who got 0, didn't play. Haaland with 4 with the captain, Solanke with 2, Watkins with 8. So there's my 39 points. And on my bench, I had 0, 0, 0 for Solicic, 0 for Saka, 0 for Greaves is injured, that's annoying, and 1 for Vandenberg. So Vandenberg played 86 minutes pretty much the whole time. I think he's nailed. It's just that Brentford aren't a good defensive side. Overall, I'm still in the 700,000 overall rank, so I haven't really dropped that much. I was in 700 or 1,000 last week, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, that's my game week.
Cool. Yeah,
How do I stop? Yeah,
good for the week, I think. But yeah, it's one to forget, isn't it? Another one to forget.
Yeah, there's been a few of those.
Now, so then this was me sitting on 39 game week points. This was why the Forest game
2 draws in a row.
was so frustrating because I had Wood was on, he had 2 bonus points. I was on 40, you were on 39. Then I don't know what happened. I was waiting for Forest to concede. They didn't. Wood went off on 78 minutes. And then in that time, the defensive assets did a little bit more, and he dropped from 2 bonus to 1 bonus and dropped me down to 39. So then we sat there level. But I was reasonably happy because you'd taken off a little bit after the Saturday fixtures, and you're a little bit ahead there. So I felt it was good that I managed to creep that back in. So I had Raya with 1, Trent with 2, Gabriel with 1, Gavardiol with 10 glorious points. Johnson with 2, Rogers 6, Semenyo 2, Mbeumo 2, Haaland captain 4, Solanke 2, and Wood with 7. Fabianski with 0 on the bench, Saka with 0, Greaves with 0, and Aina with 6 on the bench. Who'd have thought? It was for me. It was a tricky week for choosing who to play. I had thoughts of playing a back four with Aina. But then I probably would have dropped Rogers out. Or I would have dropped Semenyo out, but then Saka didn't play, so then he dropped out. So sitting on rank of 4 million, but lots of green arrows in most of my leagues. And I will just show you one more page. So we talked about before about having a way to see your game week rank as it's going along. So if you the website we use there, Live FPL, if you go to your rank section instead of your games, you can kind of see this kind of page. So you can see the differentials around you, your green arrow, your game week points. So this here is where you can see
Safety score.
Yeah, that's the safety score. So that's how many points you need to get. So you can see the differentials in your team who did well, your threats, anyone who's got the same team as you in the top million, how many you share with active managers, and then you get your game scores here. So that kind of shows you, that you're up. Here it tells you how far up you are. So I got a 3.6% game week rank, moved up about 300,000 places.
Great stuff. No, it's excellent. I need to start using it because I haven't been using it at all. Oh, awesome. All right. This week, do you want to do the honours, sir?
Just first, or do you want to just dive into what we are planning on doing?
Well, let's go through fixtures and do our guesses, and let's share our teams.
Nice. All right. Let's get the right page up. La, la, la.
I had a 40-point safety score, so my safety score was 1 point above what I actually got.
That's frustrating.
That's okay. It is what it is.
All right. So fixtures for this week. When it chooses to load. So some reasonably good ones, I reckon, this week. So remember early kickoff this week. So we're going to be a Friday deadline. So it'll be an early Saturday morning deadline for us as a Friday night game. Leicester versus Forest. I kicked off last week, so I want your guess on these first this week, Andy.
Leicester versus Forest. I think it's going to be a. Oh, I reckon it's going to be a 1-0 Forest.
Yeah, cool. I'll go with 1-1. I think Leicester seem to have a habit of scoring. Forest do well, not as well at home when they're away. So yeah, I think a 1-1.
Oh, Villa versus Bournemouth. After that showing against Arsenal, man, I could see this as a. You know what? I can see this as a 3-2 Villa.
I'll go 2-0 Villa. Coming off a good Champions League win. I think they can keep Bournemouth out, and I think they'd expect to. So 2-0.
Brentford versus Ipswich. I'd go 2-0 Brentford.
Yeah, I think I'm 3-1 Brentford.
Wow. Okay, cool. Time to get Wizzer in. If you haven't already. Brighton versus Wolves. Oh, I could see this as a 1-0 Brighton.
Yeah, I think I'm a 1-0 Brighton as well. There is a potential for this with the way they've been playing for it to be a 2-2. But I think 1-0 Brighton is probably the better way to go.
Man City versus Southampton. Look, I want to say a 3-1. I just don't know what the deal with Haaland. Now, Haaland played during the week and Man City did well. He had got 2 goals or something, right?
Yeah, so they played midweek. They scored 4. They won 4-0. I think it was 4-0 or 4-1. Haaland scored 2. Foden was involved in everything. Man City did not have enough players to fill their bench. That's how many injuries that they have at the moment. So they didn't fill the bench. They didn't need the bench. I am going to go with a 4-0 Man City win.
How many goals for Haaland?
1.
Wow. Okay. All right.
We'll come to why I think it's later in the pod, but yeah, 4-0 Man City win.
You've brought a photo in, haven't you? Everton versus Fulham. I think it's going to be a. I could see this being a nil-nil draw.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nil. I don't see much coming out of this.
Chelsea to Newcastle. Okay, I can see this being a. I could see this being a goal fest. I can see this being a 4-2 Chelsea.
Same goal difference. I'm going 2-0 Chelsea.
Okay, Crystal Palace Spurs. 3-0 Spurs.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, it's hard to not go, isn't it? I'm going 2-0 Spurs.
Oh, and West Ham versus United. I'd say 2-1 United, or even 2-0 United. 2-0 United.
2-0 United is what I'd go. Yeah, as well. I just
Oh,
don't
this
think.
last one, bro. This last one.
Who
If we had
knows?
as much as I hate to say this, I think Liverpool has this without Saka, without Saliba, without Odegaard, no Kiwi. I don't know, man. I won't lie. In the past, when there was a year where it was an absolute bloodbath for Arsenal, like Liverpool just like put, I think was it 3 or 4 past us. I could see something like that happening again if we're not careful. But that being said, I could see Arteta being like, okay, we're not attacking wise. We're missing a few pieces here, so we're going to just like shut shop. So I could see this being a 1-0 Liverpool or super open and it's actually a high scoring game.
Yeah, I think it really depends on how the game begins. I think if Liverpool score early, I think I'm probably going to say a 2-1. I don't. I still think Arsenal have enough to score against Liverpool, and I think that in that scenario it would be 2-0 Liverpool up, and then doing a Liverpool and getting sloppy and letting a goal in. I think I'm with you. I think it's 1-0 Liverpool win, which is. I think some injuries in these games make the games better, but they're heavily one-sided in this one. I think if we had like a Saliba suspension and a Saka injury, and then on the other side maybe a Sabozalai injury and a Jota injury, I think you could get a 3-3 out of this. You could get anything, but when you have two full strength teams, I think you get a 0-0. Unfortunately, but I think I don't think Slot's going to go out to hammer the goals in. I think a 1-0 win would be perfectly fine, and I think that's where my money would go if I had to make a bet. I'd say 1-0 Liverpool win.
I hope Saka's back. And yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
And that's what I think is going to happen. Is he's going to be like, no, he's not trained. He's not trained. He's not trained. Hoping that he can get Slot off guard and Slot prepares for a team that doesn't have Saka in it. Then game day Saka's in it, and we have to scramble a little bit with the decisions. But who knows?
All right. Well, let's share our teams. Do you want to go first, sir?
Sure. I have done a very un-me thing for the year. I'm on a -8. There is method to the madness, or so he says. Here you go. I have done Raya out for Cells. I have done. I've done someone else. I've done my injured Greaves out for Aidenori, and I have done my injured Saka out for Cole Palmer. I wanted to go early with the Saka out because Saka was dropping, Palmer was rising, but I couldn't afford to get Palmer in the one swoop. So I had to save some money somewhere. So I saved money on Raya, dropping him down to Cells. I was kind of hoping to jump off the Arsenal defense just for a few weeks, so that was an easy one. And I was planning on, if you remember my wildcard draft from last week, my plan was to move down to a cheaper goalkeeper anyway. And Spurs, Forest have been all right. So yeah, he earns a place in there for now. I have And then I was like, oh, -4. If I'm -4, I might as well -8. Set myself up for the next few weeks and try to save those transfers. Cole Palmer comes in early. I was going to bring him in game week 12, but he's got some difficult fixtures up to then. But with the fixture swings, I can see him gaining a bit of price, so I don't want to be priced out of that move. So yeah, I'm sitting game week for this week. Is as it looks at the moment. No, it's not. I am going to play Aina at Leicester instead of Gabriel. So it'll be Sells, Alexander-Arnold, Aina, Gvardiol, and Bumo, Johnson, Palmer, Rodgers, Solanke, Captain Haaland, Chris Wood, with Aït-Nouri first bench, Semenyo second bench, and Gabriel third bench with Fabianski as my goalkeeper. So sitting there, and that brings me to a team value of 102.5, and I've got nothing in the bank. So I had to make the moves early. Couldn't wait for the fixtures to run. So hoping we're set up for a few weeks, and then I want to move Gvardiol out at one of the big three. I think will move out at some point, whether it's Trent or Gvardiol. I'm not sure, and I've got some plans in mind that I will come to a little bit later on.
We have very similar teams.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually looking at Raya to Sells. I kind of am glad I didn't do it. Otherwise, we would be mirror matching our teams. We're already drawing twice in a week. We can't just have the same teams. All right, so I got Raya in the back line. I did Greaves to Vardiol because Greaves was injured, and I was like, I don't know who else to bring in. I don't want to like hold Greaves through his injury, and Man City have good fixtures. So I'm like, all right, let's bring in Vardiol. I went Gabriel to Aït-Nouri. So I've shipped Gabriel. Is that the right call? I don't know. I could see Gabriel still, picking up clean sheets and an attacking return in easier games, but I need to free up. I would like to free up funds. Aina, I still kept at the back. I did Saka to Palmer. McNeil, Mbomo, Johnson through the midline, then Solanke, Watkins with a captain's armband on Haaland. I am seriously considering captaining Palmer. I'm really considering captaining Palmer. I'm just like, I don't know, like Haaland versus Southampton. It feels just like danger to not captain Haaland, but that's what we thought about Wolves. That's what we thought about Fulham, and he just blanked and blanked. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm in here. I've got one more day to decide. And on my bench, I've got Stolicic, Rodgers, Vandenberg, and Justin. I don't know whether I should play Rodgers over McNeil, but the thing is, I've got Watkins. McNeil's got Fulham, but we did say that could be a 0-0 draw, so I may play Rodgers against McNeil. I don't know. Vandenberg, Ipswich at home. I could play him instead of Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri's got Brighton, but the thing is, Brighton has Welbeck injured, and they don't have João Pedro back. And I know they've got other attacking assets, but still, Aït-Nouri can also potentially attack too. And I don't think Brighton's got. Do they have any other injuries? No, it's Welbeck and João Pedro mainly.
Yeah, they got a Stupinen back now as well.
I go Stupinen, yeah. Oh, hey, he could be someone to look at when their fixtures turn.
Definitely.
And then Justin on the bench versus Forest. Although, here's the thing. I mean, I could play him as well. I actually thought about bench boosting this week, but I won't do that. I'll wait, say for a double game week. But yeah, that's my team.
It's interesting that we've both gone very bench playing players. Like everyone on our benches plays. There's a very big strategy of having one player on your bench who's playing, and the rest is just fodder. And neither of us has gone that way, which is interesting.
Well, normally I like the fodder. Give me the fodder to save money. But the thing is, it's just, I mean, James Justin 4.6, Vandenberg's 4 mil. Do you know what it is? 8 Nuri came in for Greaves. Greaves was my other 4 mil player. It's just that he was injured, and 8 Nuri's going up in price. So I just wanted to catch a price rise as well. So Vardio went up, and 8 Nuri is going to go up. So I just wanted to catch those rises. And so that leaves me with 101.9 squad value with 1.7 in the bank. So that's a 103.6 total bank and squad value. And the plan for me is if I downgrade Haaland and play around with downgrade Vardio, I potentially could have a midline of Palmer, Salah, Son, Mbermo, and like one other player, like keeping Rodgers, right? So that's a super strong midline, and the front line would be like Solanke, Watkins, and someone else instead of Haaland. I was looking at Nicholas Jackson. So that gives me a super strong attack, just all-out attack. And I think that's just a strategy. I like playing like that. So, yeah, we'll see if I go down that road. But other option, I might not sell Haaland and I end up downgrading Watkins and bringing in the likes of a Havertz or a Nicholas Jackson, depending on the fixtures. Or if I bring in Son, I'll move Solanke. So I wanted to take... I did a negate this week as well. So my trades were Greaves to 8 Nuri, Gabriel to Garvadio, other way around, and then Saka to Palmer. So this neg 8 was literally to save me in the future by freeing up money so that I had money to spend in the future.
Yeah, cool. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Well, last week we talked about Gameweek wildcards, Gameweek 8 wildcards, and this week we kind of something different. I've asked us both to pick a player differential for the week that we think is going to do well for the week coming, and a team to watch for the next 4 to 5 weeks. Andy, do you want to share your... let's do team. Do you want to share your team to watch for the next 4 to 5 weeks?
Team to watch the next 4 to 5 weeks? Wolves.
Ooh, same.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Guys, I swear we're not like purposely. We don't discuss this ahead of time. To Wolves, and legitimately looking at a Wolves attacker as well.
And I think Wolves in general, to be honest, like the midfielders, it may be a bit harder to pick someone, but we talked about future game week plans. Something I've got in mind is to downgrade Solanke when the fixtures turn to Cunha or Strand Larson. I've already got Aonori in the back line there. They've been scoring even though they haven't been winning, and those two they're trading the minutes. Like one of them always plays 90 minutes. So I think that's fairly safe in there. Aonori has shown that he's got 2 goals, 2 assists in the season already. So he can really go. The goalkeeper's also an option, but I think they've got some injury issues, and I don't know really who's going to be the starting between them. But so there's just too many potentials. I think with the now Wolves have got those bad fixtures out of the way, they are definitely someone to keep an eye on as they go forward. And I think there's plenty of options there. And you talked about your options. I think my strategy is to downgrade Solanke, downgrade Trent. Trent probably becomes a Mikalenko or you're someone in that price bracket. And then I would turn Johnson into a Son, a Foden, or I would like Saka back, and then I'd have Palmer, Saka in the midfield, and still have Haaland in the attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Haaland's an interesting one. I'm still not sure whether I keep him or not, but yeah, we'll see.
This leads nicely into differential of the week. So I'll go first this time so we know we're not cheating. My differential for this week is Phil Foden from Manchester City. He has not played properly in 6 game weeks. There is no midfielders in that team. If I was a betting person and I wanted to win a lot of money, I would put money on. This is where my 4-0 comes from. I think this week, if we're going to have a standout Foden performance, it's going to be this week. This is going to be the week he says, put me in this fucking team. I am done sitting on the bench. So I can see a Foden hat-trick and a assist for Haaland.
Wow. And you know what? With your record, I can see that happening. Okay.
Nearly. I was like, I'm -8. I may as well go -16 or whatever. And I can get Foden in, but I don't think I'm ready at this point in the season. And City's fixtures aren't fabulous after the next game, so it'd be a 1 week time, and that's a big. He'd need to score 3 to make it worth it. So differential of the week, but doesn't come into the team.
I was going to say, all right, big dog, would you bring in Phil Foden?
Had I had chance to wait this week, I would have brought in Foden instead of Palmer. But with Palmer rising and not knowing what was happening with the City mids, I would have waited. Had it come out now and Palmer been rising tomorrow, I would have gone for Foden for 3 weeks and then moved to Palmer as originally planned. Because when you have got no Rodri, De Bruyne, so you're going to have Kovacic as your defensive mid. You're going to have, there's no Bob, so you're going to have to play Foden. And Savinho on the wing, there isn't really much option, especially if you've got no Doku and no Grealish. So if that press conference would have come out and said, nah, they're all out, I would put my money on Foden and I would have brought him in.
Interesting. Oh, man. Okay. My differential for the week would be Wissa.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the fact that he played last week, 20 minutes, we'd expect him to get more. And with regards to the team they're playing, I could totally see a situation where he comes on, maybe not for a full game, maybe for 60 minutes and scores.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that
I don't think it's going to be like a Foden three goals type of differential, though.
I mean, we can all hope, can't we?
Yeah.
I think the Whistle pick's a great pick. I think that it's not like he has to come back into the team and earn that place, but we know he's got good chemistry with the people around him. The team hasn't changed that much. I think he could come back in and bang. So, yeah, great.
Yeah. All right. Best of luck this week, sir. I hope we don't draw again. Let's keep it interesting. And wait, okay. Are you definitely captaining Haaland?
Yeah, I'm definitely captaining Haaland. I think there's too much. And if I'm on a Foden's going to bang and he's going to... you can't go anywhere else, because if it doesn't happen like that and City still score goals, it's going to be Haaland. So
It's true. Oh, I just feel like Chelsea versus Newcastle, I could see that being a goal fest.
It's either a goal fest or it's a 0-0. It's one or the other.
Oh man, I could just see like a 4-3 or a 4-2 or something. Like it's heaps of goals. Palmer gets like 2 goals and an assist
In the first half again.
I don't know. Huh?
In the first half again. Thanks,
In the
Palmer.
first half again. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Best of luck, sir.
You too, mate. See you all next week.